Okay. All right. So I love teaching this class. I used to teach it a lot, and it's been several years since I've taught it. And so since then, I've um, I've had older children. You know, my kids are getting older, and I'm in a new season of life with them. And so, what I did was I went through and kind of implemented some things, because I get to see the results of they're the fruit of my labor. And so, the things that I'm going to teach you tonight, uh, you'll see basically through my children the outcome. Now, I'm going to keep looking at my notes. I have lots of notes, and like it is a two-parter. And so I'll let you know when the new part stops and I go back to my old part when I had little children. And here's what I titled the first part was, everyone's going to benefit from this. You either have children, or you're going to have children, or you're going to recruit someone with children. And this, we all work from home. And so home and life and work is going to commingle, and sometimes that can be difficult. It's hard to get used to. And so I'm going to give you the tips that's going to hopefully help you with this transition. So, working from home with your kids, I'm going to touch a little bit more on the discipline later on, because I had a whole section of that in the original training that I did. But disciplining your children is vital to your success. And for lots of reasons. A lack of discipline it teaches your children not to learn to listen to authority. And as a Christian, what I know about that, if your children don't listen to you, they won't listen to God. They don't understand how to hear a voice of reason, a voice of, someone's correcting you, conviction. And so it is your job as a parent to discipline your children. Okay. I'll tell you, it also will save their life one day when they know the difference between your angry voice and your mommy voice, your sweet mommy voice. I see parents that are always on that mommy voice. And so my kids knew when I'm in it. And I'll tell you, it saved Ryan's life when he was 2. And this was before Mary Kay. This was something that I did, before any of my Mary Kay training. Riley was a new baby. We were at the doctor's office for the very first time. And so I had a 2-year-old and a brand new baby. And if you've ever had 2 babies back to back and your first day out, literally it was my first day out with both babies. And I opened the doctor's office door, and it was by a busy street, and Ryan took off running. And I used, from the deepest core of my soul, I screamed out, "Stop right there, Ryan." And he knew the difference of my voice, and he stopped right by a tree, right by a road. And so my point is, if you do not ever discipline your children and they hear that mommy angry voice, and they know that you mean business, and you follow through with your threats, they could get hurt one day. If Ryan wasn't afraid of that mommy voice, he would have never stopped, and he would have been hit by a car. And so I don't care what anybody's ever told you. Discipline is good. It is your job. It's the next step of them learning to listen to God's voice and conviction, and so that he can lead them when they're adults down the journey and the path that he wants them to go. All right, so now, when you discipline your children, they are well behaved, and you can take them more places. I've always had to work with my kids, and so we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a second. They can also be chick magnets, all right? So when you have cute kids and you're at the grocery store with them, I'll tell you what I used to always do. I would have them in the buggy, and I would run over and get a blow pop. Okay, that they would get a blow pop before we ever got started. I would pay for it afterwards. A blow pop, I'm a smother mother. I get it. I'm afraid they're going to choke on hard candy. So blow pop has that gum, and so they can't pull it off. And they would get a blow pop to eat while I went around the grocery store. And so that kept them contained and well behaved. And so people could stop and talk to me if they saw them. They were cute, always cute kids. I had my Mary Kay on, and I'm not a warm chatterer. I'm not good at it. And so I couldn't have kids screaming and jumping and running, and then somebody trying to talk to me. I can't do all that. And so I had to always be focused, but always have your sample bags ready. especially if somebody's going to stop and talk to you. You know, Mary Kay used to always say, if somebody's coming within 3 feet of you, you offer them a facial, a goodie bag, a business card, whatever your technique of warm chatter is, be armed and ready. Also, when your kids are well behaved, you meet moms out during the morning, during the day, at play dates, at playgrounds, at grocery stores, and that helps you build a day business. We're going to talk a little bit more about my day business in just a second. Morning business, and there are moms and they have kids. Sometimes they all bring their kids, and so you want to make sure that your kids are the most well-behaved kids. And so once again, that comes from the discipline, and we'll talk more about that. But I did build a day business with mom parties, and now the sales are not always as high as a night party because the moms are on a budget, but you meet the moms who want to make money. You meet, you worked and you were with your kids and you didn't have to get a babysitter. So there were times where there were like 10 kids at one party, and we would, have a movie. I would have snacks for my kids, and I would tell them, you sit down and you watch this movie and you don't interrupt mommy. If you're good, we go to the Dollar Tree when we're finished. The Dollar Tree was like my best friend. I should have bought stock in it. But if you're bad, we're not going to the Dollar Tree. They loved that trip to the Dollar Tree. And so, that's something that I was able to do with my older two, because they were 2 years apart. And the good thing about Ryan was such a mature child, and Riley was pretty much out of my lap the minute he was able to start walking, because he wanted to hang out with his big brother, and he would do whatever Ryan was doing. So if Ryan was sitting there, he was sitting there. So Riley was just a dream to teach and train. And I'll talk about some of the things that I had to teach and train my kids on, how to behave and not to interrupt and things like that. I always had a play bag. Okay. So like even at ball games, there's other moms that I'm interacting with, and I just need my kids to sit down, or I'm doing a facial, a one-on-one, or I'm doing a career chat. I tried to always do my career chats where there was a playground, so like a Chick-fil-A or Burger King or McDonald's, so that I would sit right near the playground, especially if another mom was coming. If it was a mom that I was doing a career chat with, I met at a playground. If it was a businesswoman, I didn't take my kids. Okay. If it was a businesswoman coming from corporate America, did not have my kids. Okay. Because I needed her to see the businesswoman, because that's who she is. The stay-at-home mom, they can see me working with my kids. I became a chameleon. Monkey see, monkey do. Okay. And so I just had almost like two personalities, because I needed to let them see how I did this. Now, yes, the career mom was trying to quit work to come home to be with her kids, but I needed to talk to her one-on-one during that career chat about how I got to this point. And it wasn't going to be at Chick-fil-A near the playground. All right, so you're starting to see, when to, when not to. So back to my play bag. So my play bag was always filled with things that they were never allowed to play with unless we were at a special appointment. Okay. So, okay, hold on for a second. Let you guys, if you've got, I need you to mute out so that, good, thank you. I think the noise is gone. So for example, at the basket, I have a basketball bag, I have a baseball bag, and then I have my career chat bag, or if I have a facial bag. I have bags everywhere. And so like basketball, I'll tell you what's in there. The girls have these dry erase ABC 1, 2, 3 math quiz things that they do with dry erase boards, and they love basketball season. They're like, oh my gosh, it's like they've never seen it before. So what your surprise bag is giving them is something new that's going to keep their attention for a long period of time. Even if you're working in your office and you've got small kids, have a special box of only toys that stay underneath your desk in your office. Because I know if you've got upstairs, downstairs, you don't want to be downstairs, your kids are upstairs, you've got little toddlers and things like that. So you have those special boxes of special things that they play with that they only see when you need them to be able to focus for a long period of time and be well behaved. Okay. So your children are never, ever too young to start learning, for you to start teaching them about your business. And so, and the importance of behaving at your business. So I'll give you an example. my kids are older now, they're in school, so I do a lot of facials during the day, but whenever I am home and I'm going onto a party or a facial, I'll tell my kids, okay, mommy's got 7 faces coming because I've already coached the class. And I have them guess how much they think mommy's going to sell based on they already know what my per face average is, and it helps them to learn to do the math, and they compete to see who come the closest to what I actually sold. And that, I mean, they get excited about my business and my success for the parties and things like that. So they see I go out, I do the work, I make money, I come back, you get it, and they see that I'm just not leaving them. So I'll tell you, as we go through my part 2, so my son Ryan was 2.5 when I started this business, and Riley was 6 months old. And so Ryan last year was a freshman. He's a sophomore in college now, but last year he had to do a speech about why he chose his major. And last year's major, this is before he knew he wanted to be a pilot. He chose his major as business, and it's still going to be his major. He has to have a major. So he had to do a speech about why he wanted to go in business, and he did his whole speech about growing up pink and all the things that he watched me do and how he helped me work my business, and things like that, and what he learned from me, hitting my goals, missing my goals, fighting for my goals, working, all that stuff, all this doing life in a family that everybody was involved in this family business. And so I'm actually trying to get him to do a Zoom one night with us about growing up pink, so that you guys can see, that okay, 17 years from now, this is where my daughter's going to be. All right, guys, please check your mute button again. So you can see the result of the things that we teach you and that you've implemented those into your life. This business is going to change you. It's going to grow you. Take what you learn, and you're going to grow smarter, more confident, and you're going to pass it on to your kids so that you grow smart, confident kids who are money savvy, kind. Here's my prayer that I pray every night, and I've always prayed this. I pray, Lord, please help my children to grow up to love you, seek you, and worship you, to be kind, to be caring, to love others, and to be hard workers and godly character. That is what I pray for my children every night. And then I end my prayer praying for their spouses. Wherever they are, may they be raised in a godly home with godly character. And I never left the hospital without praying my very first night of having my babies for their spouses. Even my first night in China with Kai, I prayed for her spouse. And so I hope this is my platform, that I get to pass on the things that I've learned. Mary Kay has helped me to be a better mom. Some people may roll their eyes, but when you're a confident woman, you're a confident mother, and you raise confident children. And they're money savvy, they're smart, they're kind to others. I can't tell you, just this year alone, my boys always had great friends. They got along with everybody. Boys are boys, they're good. But when you have little girls, they start growing up to be mean, nasty little girls who turn into mean, nasty women. And we've seen that this year at the ball field with little girls. And you can always find their mother, and you can tell why those little girls are like that. And so I am not going to raise little girls like that. I talk to my children about, when you see a child that's different, you don't go up and ask that child why she's different. My Kai has a little mole on her eye. But guys, you would think that she has a third arm hanging off her shoulder, the way that little girls say that to her. What's wrong with your eye? And I always pull my kids aside and say, that was not nice. You don't ever ask someone why they're different. You look at them and find the beauty in them. And so it blows my mind that women, do not pass on kindness to their little girls. But we, in our Mary Kay world, we're going to do that. Also, protect your child's joy and her confidence. Don't ever let anyone steal that from them. They can do anything in this world, and so can you, with joy and confidence. You fight for that, and you fight And you don't expose them to mean teachers and mean children. That's kind of what I was just saying. Your children will also need to see your husband supporting you, okay? I'm going to get real right now with you about this. I'm going to read my notes because I don't want to skip over it because I wrote it from my heart. Your husband needs to support you, but you also need to show your husband the money. Okay, we'll get into that in just a second. They need to see your husband talk. They need to hear your husband talking to them about being good when you're with them and you're working your business, and watching you and talking about how proud he is of you. My husband is so good doing this in front of my children, and so, and telling them, letting them see that he is loving and supporting and believing in you. If your child is clinging to you when you have to leave to go to work, to go to your Mary Kay appointments, and you're leaving them with your husband, okay, you need to work on this relationship. Now, I get they're clinging to you if you have to leave them with a babysitter. I get that. But if you're leaving them with their father, you and your husband need to work really hard at building this relationship, okay? You need to stop being a smother mother, because you're denying your husband a chance to be a great dad, okay? This one-on-one time that he can get when you go to your appointments is priceless. Priceless. My kids love when I go to work or when I have to go out of town on my trips, my training, or my events, because my husband is so good at planning fun things for them. Simple things too, popping up a tent in the middle of the living room and having a camp out, or camping out in the backyard, going for a bike ride, taking them to the zoo, taking them to the museum, playing football with them on my work nights in the front yard, or wiffle ball. He's always doing things, okay? Now, it was harder when he had a baby, when we had babies, but he would set the baby in a stroller and play with the big kids. He worked really hard at being a great dad. And you know what? It's a paycheck of the heart for him. They love him. And so if your kids are clinging to your husband, please, you both have to do some work. Now, here's the thing. I know that there are husbands out there that do not want to be left with the children. I know that. I know that some are not good with kids for whatever reason, maybe selfish reasons. But you, as the mom, I want you to start praying for your husband right now, that God will convict his heart of wanting to become a great dad and spend quality time and building that relationship with your child, the father-child relationship, on his own. That's nothing you can do. He has to do that, okay? So we just have to stop being this mother. And like I said, I know sometimes it's not the mom's fault, and that's where it comes in, that you need to be praying for your husband and for conviction, and God can work on that relationship. So y'all both need to sit down and you need to talk about your concerns about that. Also, let's see, one thing when it comes to the issues like this, Mary Kay doesn't create the problem. Mary Kay sometimes brings a problem to the surface so that God can work on this relationship of healing and growing this family together. All right. Now, children and your chores, and there's more to come with this, but I wanted to insert some new things because, like I said, the first part of this training, or the second part of this training, I wrote a long time ago when I had little kids, and now I have 20-year-old, 18-year-olds, 12-year-olds, you get it. But here's some new things in this new season of life that we did. When our older boys turned 16, we started giving them $40 a week on Sunday to buy their own groceries. And they would go grocery shopping. They would learn how to price out things. I can remember them coming home going, we had all this fruit. We got up there. We didn't know how much it cost. And we told them, take it all back. Grapes were too expensive for them. And so it taught them to budget. It taught them to be savvy with their money and the value of money and responsibility. And so they had a special little section in our pantry. They each had a section. They each had $40, so they would get what they wanted. And they had to make their own lunches and breakfast. And of course, I would provide their dinners. And so they had to make their own lunches for school. But they made it work. They made it last. And so I want you to remember that when you have a 16-year-old, as soon as they can start driving, let them start buying their own food. And I mean, we paid for it, but it taught them so much. So they are both very, like I said, savvy with their money and great savers. Ryan is paid for his college. His entire freshman year, he just already started his sophomore year, is paid for that, and he's paid for all of his private pilot's license this summer. Riley, he's already started an IRA, and he puts $250 a month in, and it's projected out that in 18 years, if he continues to put $250 a month in every single month until he's 36, he'll be a millionaire. That compounding interest, and so they're both amazing savers. And so, that is this is my two babies that were 6 months and 2.5. Now I still have a 12-year-old and a 6 and a 7-year-old. And I'm doing the same thing with them that I did with Ryan and Riley. Let's talk about your meals on a work night. So meals on a work night, I do crock pot. Every time I have to work, it's a crock pot meal. I'm queen of the crock pot. I start my meals at 7 a.m. They cook all day, and my kids eat at 4 when I work, because I like to get them fed and be done so that they can play. When Andy gets home, they can do whatever they want. Like I said, they get excited that I'm working. They know they're going to get to play wiffle ball, football, or bike ride, whatever they're going to do. So they want to eat early. Eating early, I think, has kept our family thin. We do not eat after 6. I mean, and if you look at dieting and good eating habits, eating before 6 is really ideal. I do my grocery shopping online, and I pick it up. I do it on Saturday, and I pick it up on Sunday afternoon or Monday morning, whichever. If I'm working Sunday, I pick it up on Monday morning at 9. I plan my meals, and I have to do my kids' lunches because they don't do cafeteria at school because it's very expensive in private school. I can't have any more expenses, so I do pack all their lunches, and so I get them all ready for the week, and so I don't have to go in the grocery store. I don't have to go at all to the grocery store. So that was my new part of my training. Now I'm going to go into my original training. So here's the deal. I paid $100 for a business. So did you. It was never a hobby. My husband and I were like, $100 for business. That was it. We're like, okay, it was like buying into a franchise. And so we treated it like a business. I have the same 24 hours in the day that you do. I'm a busy mom, busy wife, busy consultant, future executive sales director. Time is so precious to me. And so there was a lot of things that I had to put in place. Communicate with my husband with my schedule. That was huge. That was something that we struggled with early on because I was kind of fly by the seat of my pants, and he was like structure. Of course, now we've met in the middle, and I have calendars everywhere. Like if he doesn't know I'm working, he's blind because it's all over my kitchen and my dry erase board. I have 2 calendars, whatever. And we used to sync up our iPhones and iPads. That drove me nuts. So I'd rather have it written out now. I'm not an electronic girl. I always dress before I wake my kids in the morning on school mornings because I'm going to work. Okay, whether I'm going down in my office or I'm making deliveries, I dress before I get my kids up. I never turn on the TV in the morning or during the day at all. If I sit down and watch TV, it's like at 10 o'clock at night for 30 minutes. I'm not on Facebook. You guys know that. I'm old school. I book the old-fashioned way. I pick up the phone. I say no to volunteering, and I can say it without being guilty. I remember we started a new church, and all of a sudden we've been there 3 days, and the music person came up to me and wanted me to teach 3-year-old choir. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, no. I don't sing, and I don't like kids. I like my kids. I like other people's kids. But no, here's the quote that I go back to. Knowing and living out your purpose allows us to say no to those good causes, but that are good causes but are not your cause. So guys, I know my calling. My calling is to minister to women in my business. And I see more lost people around the kitchen table than my pastor will on any given Sunday morning. And so I don't feel guilty when I say no at church. I didn't feel guilty when I quit the choir. God called me to this business, and I answered the call. And every day he gives me the words, the Holy Spirit gives me the words that I'm supposed to say to minister for whatever woman is in my path that day. And so if you've been called into this business, Quit volunteering. Stop doing the busy work and do the work that God has called you to do. If you've been called to lead, as Amy Kemp famously said, for God's sake, lead. So if you will just focus for the next 6 months and say no to volunteering, you will reach your goal, all right? Make your 6 most important things to do list every single night. I have a list I do every night of what I'm doing the next day, and it's listed. I have them in order in the route. I turn right out of my subdivision, and I come all the way back around. I never do lefts. That's what UPS and FedEx will do, and I took that on, and it keeps my route going so that I'm never backtracking. When you do your 6 most important things to do list at night, it releases your brain to relax, and you get a good night's sleep. So you wake up energized. You wake up energized and ready to start your day. Be aware of people who steal your time. Only give them 5 minutes. Have an exit plan. I'll tell you, I have lots of customers who are very chatty. I mean, used to keep me on the phone for hours. And so I have an exit plan now. If they're coming over to get makeup for emergency makeup, I don't have an hour to stand at my front door talking to them. And I simply have a little basket outside my front door. You can decorate it really cute. And I'll say, I'm sorry, I've got a conference call. I hope none of my customers ever listen to this. I'm in big trouble. I'm sorry, I have a conference call. I'm going to put your product in my little basket. And, and there's a little sample in there for you. I'll see you later, okay? And, I'm done. It was a hang up. Her products are out there. She's leaving her check. I don't have an hour. I don't have an hour if it's not scheduled. My day is jam-packed. Don't answer your phone before 9 a.m. Learn that the hard way too. You have your quiet time, and then do your first part of your business that you need to do. Like if you need to answer emails, make sure that when you answer in the morning, you are on, okay? I had a consultant that started calling me at 7 o'clock in the morning. And this is when, I had a baby, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old. I'm trying to get him to school. And she started calling me at 7 in the morning, where the first couple of times I'm thinking somebody's died, right? And then finally I'm like, I'm going to have to call you back, And then one day she made the mistake of saying, well, I know why so-and-so is not working her Mary Kay business, because you are hot and cold. And I knew what she was talking about. It was our phone conversations in the morning. And I had to let her know, well, if you call me after 9, I will be on. But when you call me before 9, I am rushing around being mommy, and I'm not in my Mary Kay mode. I said, so from now on, Miss Diane, I will not answer my phone when you call until my workday starts at 9 a.m. And so she was a high D personality, and so I could give her right back what she was giving me, but it was my fault for answering so early. It's just a natural thing. I grew up, bad things happen. They call you in the morning, and I was answering the phone. And so make sure you're on so that you are always 100% when you're giving to someone. If you can't give 100%, don't answer the phone. Always have your phone list ready. If you're a busy mom and you've got kids in the carpool line, you've always got these 15-minute windows that you can make these booking calls or these booking texts and things like that. My kids, if we were making deliveries and they fell asleep, instead of going home, getting them out of the car, I would pull over in a parking lot someplace and make some booking calls because they were asleep and it was quiet. And when you have babies, that's rare. And so I got a lot of my booking on the fly. Got a lot of that done on the fly because my kids are sleeping in the car. And so when you're a busy mom, you have to have these little, it's not 8 hours of work and then it's a unique schedule, and you've got to, be able to be that flexible to work around that. Let's see, also be present to the moment. If you schedule work, then you work. Don't fold clothes when you should be booking. And that's another problem when you're working from home. You look around, you're like, oh, I really need to fold clothes, or I need to scrub the toilets, or I need to do this, I need to do that. Be present to the moment. Be very strategic about your timing and your time management. If you have a party that cancels, that's not a free night. You've got to somehow make up with the money that you didn't bring home to your family. And so those were nights that I would get on and make customer service calls and make up, the money that was lost. If you schedule time to be with your family, be with your family. Put your phone down. Be present to the moment. When I do finally get my beach house or my lake house, that's the name of my beach house, present to the moment. Like I said earlier, I built a day business and a night business. And so what that meant was the moms that I met during the day, they had kids too. It was a different kind of party. It was a different sales total. And I knew my numbers. I knew I was going to average $50 a face with these stay-at-home moms. My work away from home moms or my night parties were corporate moms. My sales were higher, and I knew the difference. And so when I would schedule things and I was working out my budget for the month, I knew where my money was coming from based on what I knew my numbers. So always know your number, but you have to get out in the field and work enough numbers and track your numbers to know. Then you know your reorder business. Then you know what your team's bringing in. So you got all these avenues of income, all right? When I would build a day business, how I started doing that was I had facial boxes all over the place because I didn't start with family and friends. And so my boys would nap from 11 to 1. And my office was downstairs, had a separate entrance. I had the baby monitor, and I would book everybody for 11 a.m., 11 a.m., 11 a.m. And I would call as many people and book them at 11 a.m. Well, they didn't all come, but if one came, great, I had a facial. If 3 came, great, I had a mini party. But I could hear the babies upstairs knowing that they were okay. They sounded like Darth Vader breathing in the baby monitor. It was cranked up so high. But I knew they would start squirming about 12:30, 12:45, and by 1 o'clock they were awake. So I had to get it done. And but that's how I started building my day business. So 9 to 9 is people time. We don't call anybody after 9 p.m. We don't Vox after 9 p.m. We didn't have Voxer back then. And 9 a.m., 9 to 9 is people time. After 9 and before 9 p.m. And so if you're going to read emails, listen, or, get on Facebook, do it after 9 p.m. or before 9 a.m. And, you've got to be very strategic about the time that you are wasting on social media. That was not an issue when I first started Mary Kay, but now it is. Watch where your time is being wasted. Discipline. My family has always treated my business as a family business. And so discipline was a must for my children. This is where I was going to talk to you about discipline. And I'm so glad that Hudson's in here because I'm going to have him demonstrate something in just a second. So I'm a work from home mom, and my kids have always known the benefits of the sacrifice, okay? Working with my kids, I knew they had to be well behaved. And so don't be offended. I was actually going to bring it down, but I always carried 3 wooden spoons with me. 1 in my car, 1 in my purse, and I had 1 at home. And I'm just going to tell you, if you paddle right here, it never bruises. You can hit as hard as you want, and DFACS will never know. It only took 2 times for each child to get paddled right here, and then all I had to do was raise the spoon, and they stopped right there in their tracks. It's also good to have that spoon in your car because when you've got a call coming in, and now in Georgia we can't talk on the phone, but when I had a call coming in and I knew it was a customer, a prospect, or a consultant, I would just raise my spoon and the car would get silent. They knew to stop talking. This was mommy's business. This was a business call. You have got to train your kids. You cannot pick up a phone and have screaming in the car. You've got to work through that right now because those professional realtors, bankers that you're trying to book, they're going to go, what? You have to be professional. You have to have that image, okay? Even though you're, crazy mom, it's like a beautiful swan on a lake, but underneath you're paddling like hell. You have to work really, really hard to get your systems in order. And that means getting that wooden spoon and raising it so your car is quiet when you need to have that business talk. Plus, it helps you to think. It helps you to think. Hands on the shoulder. So if I'm talking to you and Hudson is needing something right now, he knows what to do. He knows that I'm going to do what you know what to do. I just prompted you.
Oh, do it?
Put it out. Yeah. All right. So if I'm at Chick-fil-A and I'm having an interview and my kids need to go to the bathroom or something, they put it on, keep it on there. They know to keep their hand on my shoulder until I'm going to put my hand on their shoulder and I'm still talking to you. But they know, because we talked about this. This is Mommy's way of saying, without saying it, Hudson, honey, I know you're there. As soon as I finish my sentence and I can address you, I'm going to address you. But he knows not to come up to me and start going, mama, 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 and interrupting me in the middle of my sentence or someone else's sentence. All of my children have done this. And I started as early as 2 years old. 2 years old, they know how to do this. It hasn't always been perfect. I'll tell you, Ryan and Riley were easy. Hudson was the hardest. Kai is the hardest. Mary Beth got it. But 3 out of 5, yeah, 3 out of 5 got it quickly. Every child's different. But that, I cannot stand a child to interrupt an adult. And I'm like, oh, God, please train your children. Okay. Now, can you tell I've been around a lot of kids? All right. So I love that. I hope you put that into place. I'll tell you a funny story. And I know this is a little late and I don't want to cut it short because it's so important. So you just hang with me. So Ryan and Riley were about 5 and 3. And we had my niece with me. We were going into Target and we were getting out of the car. And I heard Ryan say, Lindsay, when we go into Target, if my mommy starts to talk to another mommy about Mary Kay, that is called clam chowdering. And we're supposed to put our hand on her leg or shoulder and not interrupt her. So the funny thing is, it's warm chatter and not clam chowdering. And so that has been our joke in our house for years because poor Lindsay's thinking, Clint, what are we about to do at Target? It was just so funny. I used to always have I have a separate phone line. I have a home phone line and a business line, and they always had different color phones. This is before we did everything on cell phones. My home phone was white. My business line was silver. So if the kids came running into the house and they saw me on the silver phone cooking, they knew that was business, and they knew not to interrupt me. All the neighborhood friends knew that too. Miss Byers is on the silver phone. Everybody got quiet. Now, I know you all have cell phones, but you need to teach your kid not to interrupt when you're on the phone, period. And so that was another thing. So we talked about that. Let me skip through here. Deliveries. My kids got 25 cents for every delivery that we made, and it taught them to go up to the door, look the adult in the eye, and say, thank you, Mrs. So-and-so. My mommy appreciates your business, and look them in the eye and say that, and they got money for that. It taught them how to look people in the eye, have communication skills, and it taught them how to earn money. They would also actually help me organize my route. One of them would keep up with the orders that was next. The other would keep up with the sales tickets, knowing what was next and if we were going to collect a check or if they've already paid. It was a family business. They all have gold jars that they would keep up with the money that they were trying to save for what they were working toward. Now there's a great app. I think it's called Kids Bank app, but still get your kids to do a goal poster of a little jar, little tracking their money of what they want to buy. The girls are wanting to buy little battery operated cars. And so that's what they're earning their money. I've told you guys before, the girls sweep and mop the floors every Sunday. Hudson does the dishes and they fold clothes. It's not always done perfect, but it's teaching them work. So we talked about that. Lollipops and gummies. When I did have to take Hudson with me, he was like he's the true middle. He's the only one that had didn't have a sibling with him. And so he had to be entertained a little bit more. So with Hudson, I would have 2 packs of gummies and 2 blow pops in my pocket. 1 blow pop if he dropped it on the floor, and 2 packs of gummies. I could do a facial by the time he went through 2 packs of gummies and a lollipop. Boom, got it done. He was well behaved. He was more of a child that needed to eat versus play or color. And so he would just watch and listen and eat. And so that worked for us to be able to do that. The power of a supportive husband. Mary Kay knew that it was important, and she would always say that. What would she say? Hold on. A woman is a woman and a half when her husband supports her. And if people who know us the best encourages us the least, there's few chances to develop confidence. And so that's why I can't say enough about the importance of making sure that your husband is supporting you. Pay yourself. That's how he's going to support you. Men get excited about 3 things: money, food, and you can fill in the blank. I have a kid back here. I have never, ever not paid myself. Even if it's my minivan payment. That's what I started off with, paying myself with a minivan payment. I always showed my husband the money. Share the responsibilities. If you're working, my husband for a long time did the grocery shopping until grocery pickup came around. And he cooked when I was working before I became a master at the crock pot. Like I said, he plays games. Don't plop on your husband. Men are natural protectors. They don't understand our emotional roller coaster as women. You got a cancellation, you're down. Then all of a sudden the phone rings and you sold a lipstick, you're back up. They can't handle that. If you have a bad day, you plop up. That's with your sales directors. Okay, plop up. Not your sister consultants, not your recruiter, unless your recruiter is your sales director, not your sister, your recruits, or your husband. You plop up. We can get you through there. Go to someone who has dug themselves out of a pit. If you plop on a sister consultant and she's already had a bad day, now you've had a bad day, you might have just shut her down to where she can never come out. Don't do that to anybody. Plop up. Andy never asked me how much I sold. He learned how not to do that from our national sales director who retired, Barbara Delormier. When we earned a trip when she was retiring, we were the top 3 most improved unit in 2004, and she paid for us to come out to New Mexico to train with her before she retired. I worked all year on that trip because she was the closest thing I was ever going to get to Mary Kay. And we got to go to her mountain home. She told us the story that Jerry, her husband, he would always put her products in the car, her bag in the car, and then when she would get home, he would take her bags out. And he could tell how much she sold by the weight of the bag. And if her bag was heavy, all he would say was, "Let them wrinkle," like that. And that was his way of saying, "It's going to be okay, honey." And Andy took on that, and he never asked me how much I sold. He just knew I would always pay the family at the end of the month, and it didn't matter that one appointment. That one appointment will not make or break you, unless that's the only one on your date book. And then you better get busy. Have a special date night with your husband, especially if you have kids and you've got a business. It's easy to get distracted, and you don't want to forget him. We would, back when our kids were little, we would have Wednesday night, we'd watch a movie. We couldn't afford babysitters. Our kids are in private school, and he had a big pay cut when they were little. And so we would rent a movie. He would buy my favorite ice cream and get popcorn, and we would watch a special movie every Wednesday night. That was our date night. Do a personality test on you and your husband, and you'll notice that it's like yin and yang. He is opposite of you, and his love language is not your love language, okay? What you need is not what he needs. Figure it out so that your marriage works, and it works like a well-oiled machine, okay? Set a family goal when you finish your goal. Do something fun. Do something. When I became a sales director and earned my first car, I knew I wasn't going to take my first car. The first car was a Grand Am. We didn't need a Grand Am. We had a new minivan. And I promised my husband I would buy him a truck. And I took the car allowance. And the day before we finished, I said, it's done. It's going to be done tomorrow. He got online and he started ordering his truck. He was so excited. That was one of my proudest moments ever, to tell my husband that he could go online and hit send and order that truck. And so, guys, do something big and bad for your family. Finish your race. Get mentally and physically fit. You're about to run a marathon. You can't be tired. You can't have brain fog. Watch what you eat and you drink. Dehydration can lead to brain fog. Stop drinking sodas. Drink half your weight in ounces each day. A thyroid problem can cause brain fog. Get a physical and see if there's anything physically wrong, and start working on you so that you feel good. And when you feel good, you can give more to others. Power naps. When I work at night, I take a power nap in the afternoon before I pick up my kids. We're moms. We have very unique schedules. We rise early and we go to bed late. And so it's okay. I'm giving you permission to have a power nap. It gives me so much energy. I do it right before I pick up my kids, get my kids home, feed them, get them started with their homework, and I leave for work. And it makes a big difference. Sometimes I take a nap in the parking lot of the school because I get there early. People know that. They know, oh, she's got to work tonight. She's sleeping in her car. Get uncomfortable, okay? Be a Proverbs 31 woman. If you've never read Proverbs 31, go read it. That's who we are. We rise late. We're well respected in the community. Our husbands respect us. Our children are well clothed. We're entrepreneurs. That's who we are. We're Mary Kay women. Proverbs 31. We can do it all. Let your family know that the house will not be picture perfect while you're working on this big goal. Cleaning toilets will not help you reach your goal. My quote on this is, or my saying is, if it doesn't get you closer to God, closer to your family, or closer to your goal, you don't do it in these next 6 months if you're working on a big goal. Run your race. It's 6 months to finish it, start to finish. If you're a brand new consultant right now and you want to win a car, 6 months, that's all it takes. If you've made up your mind and your heart is sold out on it. Get control of your emotions. Your emotions will always be tied to your date book and your checkbook. Classes, classes, classes. This business will always be built around the kitchen table. Anything else is fillers. It's fillers. And it's the slowest part. It's how you get there slow. My husband's always saying, no shows, no dough. Enjoy the journey. Don't take yourself seriously. Learn to laugh at yourself. And finish your race. Your children are watching. Your family's watching you. And I'm going to end with this one story. I'm so sorry I'm late, but this is an important call. Your children are watching you. When we picked up our first pink Cadillac, it was in 2008. Ryan was 11 years old, and we had just gone to a career chat at Chick-fil-A. So we were going to the Dollar Tree. We pulled up, and then a car pulled right in front of me, and she sees the car, the pink Cadillac. She starts waving frantically, and she gets out, and she's like, can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? I'm like, sure. You know, you kind of feel famous. This is when the cameras just started getting on the phones. And so she's taking a picture, and then she said, how long did it take you to get this? And I said, well, you know what? It was a decision. Once I made up my mind, it was done. Ryan is my C personality child. He leans forward and said, it only took her 7 years. The girl got this scared look on her face. She ran off. I couldn't even give her my business card. I rolled up my window and I gave Ryan a life lesson. I said, Ryan, yes, it took Mommy 7 years. And Mommy missed it a lot of times, but Mommy always brought home a different car. I said, but what did that teach you about Mommy? And he said, Mommy never quit, never quit. And I said, that's right. I kept going. I missed it and I kept going. And that's what I want you to always do. And so your kids are watching. It's not always what's taught, it's what's caught. And so I'm going to end this tonight. I'm going to read all these little chats. I love all this. And so I'm just going to briefly read. Wow, there's a lot. All right. Glow Pops, Why in the world have I never thought of that? Okay, I've just been opening all the snacks as I put them in the car and the cart. Oh, that's funny, Tori. Love the wooden spoon. My kids know the wooden spoon. Good for you. I know, Marianne. 3 packs of wooden spoons at the Dollar Tree. Yes, I'm getting wooden spoons frequently. Don't answer oh gosh, don't answer calls for either on my business because I know the kids are yelling. Good job, Courtney. Ditto. I love the paddle. I got my kids the wooden paddle. All right. I use the hand on the hand. Okay. I use the hand on the arm with my son because he gets so stressed out. Okay. That was Courtney. I can't wait to go clam chowdering. All right. Let's see. I'm loving everything I grew up with a wooden spoon. Good for you, Brooke. All right. So guys, I hope that this was helpful. It's recorded. And, so I'm so sorry it's late. You guys know I'm a stickler for on time, but this was important. Guys, go work your business and don't be afraid to work it with your children. Good night.